that the Prophet ﷺ, despite exceeding in every single sphere of life, still left behind, remarkably, an example of balance. You could take work-life worship balance from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. You could take society, family lessons and balance from the Prophet ﷺ. He still left behind a sunnah of moderation too. Because there's still a baseline in every one of those spheres of the Prophet ﷺ's life that we can take from. Now again, I want to focus today on this concept of self-care. How do you build that capacity to be able to give so much to everything and everyone around you? Where do you even get to that point? And how do you not suffer from what so many people do, which is this level of just burnout where they completely shut off. Don't want anything to do with anybody because you know what? I've paid my dues. I'm retiring from da'wah. I'm retiring from the masjid. I'm retiring from khidmah. Somebody else take over this stuff. I don't want anything to do with this stuff anymore. I'm done. I'm retiring from trying to be super husband. I'm retiring from trying to be a good dad. I'm retiring from trying to be a good friend. I'm sick of it all. Forget about it. It's the world's turn to repay me and to do good by me. I've done enough good for the world around me. So how do I actually start to get that? Now, first and foremost, let's look at the framing, because sometimes you got to start from the beginning, from the asl. The framing of why this is important in the first place. Because it is dramatically different in the Islamic conception than it is in our secular conception today. In an era of hyper-individualism, everything is done, everything that you do is so that you can make yourself a happier person. Meaning you engage acts of charity, not to the extent that that charity is needed to support someone else's cause or to get some other cause over the hump. You do enough acts of charity to where you feel good about yourself being a charitable person. You don't engage acts of prayer or devotion or service to where they're required of you or obligatory upon you. You do them to the extent that they can fit into this perfect puzzle to make you the most fulfilled and happy person. Still greed. It just has nicer aesthetics. It's still self-serving. It's just serving the self in a different way. Using others to serve self, not using self to serve others. That's not the Islamic conception of it all. I don't have to tell you that Fajr is going to make you happier in the day for you to do it. It's obligatory upon you. Zakah is obligatory upon you. These things are mandatory. Sadaqah, basic courtesies, these are things that Allah has made obligatory upon you. And it starts from that place. And yes, from the mercy of Allah, is that good deeds make you feel good too. They bring about more fulfillment and goodness in life. But you got to start from that place, not from the place I'm going to engage spirituality and religion only to the extent that I feel better about myself. It's not how it works. That's why activism becomes very performative. Let me go take place in this protest and catch a selfie in the protest and say, yeah, I freed Kashmir. Kashmir is still under occupation. What's your next step? But I feel good about myself because I went and shouted a bunch of slogans about Kashmir. Alhamdulillah, brother, good for you. I'm glad you went to the protest. Are you making dua for them at night? Are you trying to think about avenues of way to actually rectify the situation? So it's you engage things just to the extent that I feel good. I press share. I am woke on social media. well, wait a minute. Start from here. The Islamic conception is actually the opposite. It's how do I become the most able abd to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the most beneficial khadim to the people. How do I become the most able servant to Allah, slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How do I become the most obedient worshipper, the most complete worshipper to Allah, and also the most beneficial servant to the people? How do I fulfill self to a point that I can get to a point where I'm doing the best in those regards? See the difference? It literally is the complete opposite. In the first conception, you try to fit others into the pieces that fit yourself. In the second conception, you try to put yourself in the best place to work for something that's bigger than you.